welcome to Creations with X. Today I am going to be showing you 3 different knitting cast-ons. So you're going to take your needles, and you're going to take your yarn, and do what I do, okay? So you're going to take, first off is going to be the basic cast-on. Now this is just a basic cast-on that is fairly common for most knitting. It's fairly common, very easy, and I'm going to show you how to do it now. So you're going to take your yarn and you're going to make a slip knot. If you don't know how to make a slip knot, it's very easy. You kind of just want to make a loop with your yarn, pull this behind so you have the tail, so you kind of want to have it look like this. Then you're going to take the working yarn, in other words the yarn being pulled from the ball, and you're going to want to pull it up into that loop you made and just kind of pull it tight. Also, just a word of advice, when you're making a project, always make sure to leave a bit of a tail so you can weave it in afterwards. You don't want to have just a tiny short stubby thing that you can barely weave in. You want to make sure you leave enough so that you can just neatly weave your tail end into your project. Okay, so basic cast on. What you're going to want to do is you're going to kind of want to take your yarn, move it across your hand like this. So kind of make a bit of an L shape with your hand. Just have a reverse L with it facing you. So, and just kind of clamp down on it with your other 3 fingers. So, you're going to want to do this. Then you're going to take your needle and you're going to go under this yarn and kind of swoop like that and pull it tight. See, I'll do it again just to demonstrate. Go like that, swoop under, and pull it tight. One thing I have found out through my years of experience in knitting is that you don't actually have to do, while you can do this, and this is the official correct way, you can also just kind of skip that bit and go straight under if you find the bit before difficult. And see, you can't really tell the difference. It doesn't make much of a difference. You could even just kind of go like this, wrap it around your thumb and go under. And then you see, and also, notes about this type of cast-on is that it's not very stretchy. It's pretty rigid. It's not going to stretch. Like here on the needle, you can see it stretch a little bit, but in your knitted project, it's not probably going to stretch as. It's not for the stretchier projects. Next, I am going to demonstrate what is known as the knit cast-on. So this one you're going to need 2 needles for. Now, this one might be a bit trickier, seeing as it requires a bit of know-how on knitting to do, but it's fairly simple once you get the mastery of it. You're going to take your second needle, you're going to hold your yarn maybe like this. This might be a term you'll come across later if you don't already know it, but I am what one might call a continental knitter. There is several different ways of knitting. I prefer continental. I do recommend this type of knitting, as it makes if you prefer to hold your yarn in your left hand. But really, it's up to you. If you're curious about the other types of knitting, there are tons of tutorials on YouTube that you can watch. Now, back to the tutorial. You're going to take your needle and you're going to stick it into the loop to the back. So not to the front, to the back. You're going to loop the yarn, catch it with your needle, and pull it through. Now, if any of you are familiar with knitting, you would normally pull. It would be normal to pull this one loop you just knitted through off the needle. But that's not how you do it for the knit cast-on. Instead, you're going to take that loop and you're going to put it back onto the needle. So now you have 2 loops. And then you're going to take your needle, you're going to go into that loop you just made. Make sure to not make it too tight. You want to be able to get in there. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to loop and pull through and place back on your needle. And you are just going to repeat this for the amount of stitches you need. So you just go through, loop, and place it back on your needle. And then you're just going to keep doing that. It's fairly simple, but again, you might need a bit of knitting know-how before you start this. And my notes on this one, it's pretty stiff. It's not very stretchy at all. Like even on the needle, the first one was a bit stretchier. So this is pretty solid. Well, it won't really stretch too much, but a nifty little fact is that if you pull this off the needle, kind of give it a tug in the end, kind of just straightens out into like a chain. It's basically a crochet chain stitch. And now I'm going to show you one last knitting cast on. So for this one, you want to leave a tail. You want to leave a very long tail, in fact. Make sure it's about 3 times the length of your cast on. So if you're going to make a very long if you're going to make a cast on maybe this big, you're going to want to have your yarn be about this big, like that much tail. So I don't have a particular goal in mind, particular number of stitches, so I'm going to just leave a general tail. I'm going to just make a slip knot here, and this one is called a Longtail cast on, this type of knitting stitch. So for this one, you're going to want to have, you see how I have my yarn facing like this way, like it comes from the front? You don't want that. You're going to want to flip it around. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to kind of want to grab your yarn and your tail with your tail facing you like this, and you're going to want to separate it with your thumb and your pointer finger. And this cast on might be a bit tricky, but it's also a very good cast on to use. So now to demonstrate, I'm going to take my needle and I am going to swoop in like this, kind of into my thumb right here, like where my thumb is, into the loop by my thumb. Then I'm going to loop back around and go around this one, around my pointer finger. And you see, that's a stitch, or cast on stitch. And you're going to just swoop in and then pull this through. It is a bit more like knitting in a sense. If you already know how to do this. If you already know how to knit and you're just looking for a good cast on, this is perfect. This one is also significantly more stretchier than the others, so it has a much more nice stretchiness to it. So if you just give it a little tug, like I'll just demonstrate right here, you can see a bit how elastic that is even on the needle. So if you want something with a bit more give, this is good. I want to do that again. And remember, the thumb is for the tail. The thumb is for the tail, so you want to have the tail end on your thumb, like so. And remember, so you're going to want to go in through the tail and kind of loop that one through and then just pull. And remember, 3 times as long, you're going to need a tail 3 times as long for the like thrice the length of the cast-on, so to speak. 3 times as long as your cast-on. So if you know a specific amount of yarn is going to be needed for your cast-on, you're going to want to do 3 times that for your tail. So that is your long tail cast-on. And if you see, if I just pull it off the hook, this is kind of what it looks like. You can see it's a bit stretchy. And to undo it, just kind of comes right apart, and you're left with your slip knot. Okay, that was 3 different types of cast-on: the basic cast-on, the knit cast-on, and the long tail cast-on. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have good luck in your knitting journey.